Hello students, in last class we were discussing the second chapter, that is biological classification. So we have finished the first kingdom in 5 kingdom classification, that was the kingdom Monera. So next to that is the kingdom Protista. Okay, so this is the second kingdom in 5 kingdom classification. So what we are going to study in this chapter? So here the important one, the whole kingdom Protista is including only the single celled eukaryotes. Okay, while in the kingdom Monera it was including single celled prokaryotes, but here it is including single celled eukaryotes. So this is very important one. The organisms which are present in the kingdom Protista all are unicellular and all are eukaryotic. There is no multicellular, okay, and there is no prokaryotic one. So that these protists are commonly, they are aquatic one. They are commonly present in the water, that may be freshwater form or that may be marine water form. They are commonly aquatic, but a few are there, they are terrestrial also. So here the single cell contains a well defined nucleus as it is a eukaryote, and other membrane bound organelles they are also present, mitochondria, if they are photosynthetic, chloroplast, like that. Okay, and some protists are usually possessing the flagella and cilia. So you know the function of the flagella, it is the extra growth of the plasma membrane which helps for the movement of the body like in bacteria, but the prokaryotic flagella and the eukaryotic flagella, there is a structural difference is there. Okay, but the function is same, that is movement. Along with that, some protists are possessing the cilia. So these cilia are smaller in length compared to the flagella and they are present numerous in number. So they are also sometimes helping for the movement as well as for attachment with other host organisms. And the kingdom Protista, it is very important, it is a link with plants, animals as well as with the fungi. What it means? The kingdom Protista, that means the protistans, they are possessing the characters which are present in these kingdoms also. Which are those? For example, when we consider the Euglena, it is one protista. Okay, it is one protistan. That Euglena is possessing the chloroplast which resemble the plants. Okay, as well as it can show the movement in the water body. That's why it is the characteristics of the animal. As well as some protistans are there which are heterotrophs like the fungi, that means the kingdom Mycota. That's why these are the connecting link with all these 3 kingdoms. And these protistans, they commonly reproduce by asexual as well as the sexual type of reproduction, sexual mode as well as the asexual mode. So that is by cell fusion as well as the zygote formation. So zygote formation is used to occur after the sexual type of reproduction. And here the kingdom Protista is including total 5 groups. The first group is called as chrysophytes, second one is called as dinoflagellates, third one is euglenoids, fourth one slime molds, and the last one is protozoa. So what we confuse here, all the kingdom Protista is including all the protozoans. It is not like that. Okay, along with the protozoans, it is including other 4 groups are there. Okay, other 4 different groups including as well as the protozoa. So total 5 groups of organisms, different types of organisms are used to found in the kingdom Protista. So in that, the first group is called as the chrysophytes. These chrysophytes are commonly called as golden algae. Okay, so in last class we studied the kingdom Monera where we used to observe the blue-green algae, BGA, which is far different from this one. Okay, and other some kind of algae are present in the kingdom Plantae, so that is different. This golden algae is different. Okay, so these commonly found in fresh water like in river, and some are marine, that means they used to found in the oceans or the sea, and most of them are photosynthetic. So here if they are photosynthetic, what it means? They are the autotrophs. They used to possess the photosynthetic pigments which are helpful for the photosynthesis process. And these are microscopic, as we already know, all are unicellular one. That's why they have to be microscopic and float passively in water currents. So that type of organisms we call them as the plankton or planktonic. What it means? They are floating passively. See, in order to swim in the water, any aquatic animal, if it has to swim in the water, it has to spend the energy, isn't it? So that is the active process. Spending the energy is the active process. But these chrysophytes are floating passively on the water current, on the water surface. That means they are not going to spend any energy. Wherever the direction of the water is there, they will move on that direction only. Okay, passive one. And these chrysophytes, they are broadly having two groups of organisms. One is diatoms, another one is called as desmids. Okay, we are mostly concentrating on the diatoms. So they are present abundant in number. So what they are? So these diatoms, see, Di means two, atoms means not atom, two cells are present. Okay, two cells are present. So these are commonly having siliceous cell walls, which is having silica in it. Commonly the cell wall is made up of cellulose, but in case of the diatoms, the cell wall material is silica, and forming two thin overlapping shells which fit together as in a soap box. So in the diagram we can observe. So if we consider it as a diatom, it used to possess two holes like soap box where we use in bathrooms, isn't it? Two covers are there which are made up of silica. So the entire cell wall in case of the diatom is called as frustule, and the upper one is called as epitheca, and the below one is called as hypotheca. So this is what the peculiarity of the diatoms, isn't it? So which fit together as in soap box. The lower one epitheca, above one hypotheca. Okay. The cell wall deposit of diatoms over billions of years in their habitat is known as diatomaceous earth. So as I told you, these are commonly found in fresh water as well as the marine one. Okay, diatoms which are present in the marine environment, when they die, their cell wall material, which is a silica, it used to deposit on the floor of the ocean for several million years. Okay, because they are very microscopic one. Due to deposition of that silica in the floor of ocean, it used to form a diatomaceous earth. So that surface, that area, we call it as a diatomaceous earth. It is found in the depth of the ocean. So what will happen if the diatomaceous earth is formed? We can get some use from that diatomaceous earth soil. Okay, if we get that diatomaceous earth soil, what use we can get that from? It can be used in polishing. Okay, polishing of the glasses, polishing of the fibers and all, as well as filtration of oils and syrups, oil filtration as well as a syrup filtration. That means we can use it as a sieve so that we can do the filtration process. So this is very important use from the diatoms. As well as another important thing is, these diatoms are the chief producers in the oceans. So what it means? Producers means the organisms which produces the food itself. That means autotrophic. All the green plants, we call them as autotrophs, isn't it? That means all the green plants are producers. They are producing the food. Like that, these diatoms are present in the marine water and they are the chief producers. They are doing the photosynthesis and they are producing the food, and other organisms depend on these diatoms. That's why in the ocean, diatoms are considered as a chief producers. And this is very important sentence. See it as well as neat point of view. Okay, these diatoms are the chief producers. The next one, the second group of organisms in the kingdom Protista, that is Dinoflagellates. So here again, di means two, flagellates, two flagella. The protistans which possess two flagella are called Dinoflagellate, but there is a peculiarity, that is most dinoflagellates are marine and majority of them are photosynthetic. Marine means ocean, and they are photosynthetic. They are possessing the photosynthetic pigments. The pigments are having different colors like yellow, green, brown, blue or red based on the main pigments present in their cells. That means the color of that dinoflagellate, the whole organism, it may appear as a yellow or it may appear as a green, brown, blue or red. That is based on the pigment that is present in it. Majority of them are possessing the red color pigment. Okay, that's why we call them as red dinoflagellates. And the cell wall in case of the dinoflagellate is having stiff cellulose plates on the outer surface. Commonly the cell wall material here, it is a cellulose and it is made up of cellulose plates. As the name indicates, most of them have two flagella as they are dinoflagellate, but what is their position? One lies longitudinally and other transversely in a furrow between the wall plates. In the diagram we can observe, so it is the diagram of a red dinoflagellate where two flagella are present, one is longitudinally, another one is transversely. The peculiarity of this red dinoflagellates, red pigment possessing dinoflagellate, example goniolax. So here whenever these red dinoflagellate, especially goniolax, it undergo rapid multiplication, that means rapid cell division in order to do the reproduction. So that what will happen due to rapid multiplication? The sea appears red in color. The entire surface of the ocean, it used to appear as red in color. The color of the ocean water is blue commonly, isn't it? But due to increase in number of these red dinoflagellate, especially goniolax, the surface of the water appears as a red in color. In the diagram we can observe. So this is the aerial view of an ocean near the California in USA. Okay, so where we can observe here and there blue color water is present, but along with that red color water is also present. That is due to the more number of these goniolax. Okay, and sometimes these goniolax, they also release toxins into the water so that they will kill the aquatic animals also. Okay, they used to release the toxin materials, toxin chemicals due to their activity into the water so that the aquatic animals may also die. So here it is the actual picture of a goniolax. Okay, so red color pigment is present. So this is textbook one. In the textbook they have given this diagram. So this is about the red tide, and this point is very important. The organism which is responsible to cause the red tides in the ocean, it is goniolax. Okay, this is a very neat point of view. Next one, the third group of organisms, it is called as euglenoids. Okay, these euglenoids are commonly, they are freshwater forms, and they are sometimes they found in stagnant water where the water is not flowing, it is present as static one. Instead of cell wall, in case of euglenoids, they have a protein rich layer called as pellicle, which is a flexible one. Okay, so it makes their body flexible so that they can bend along with the current of the water instead of cell wall. But the cell wall, this protein layer we can consider it as a cell wall, but it is not a true one, because it is not made up of cellulose, it is made up of protein, and that special type of cell wall we call it as pellicle, which gives the flexibility to the body. See, in case of euglena we can observe. Okay, euglena is best example for the euglenoids, and these euglenoids, they also possess two flagella, one is short and one is long. Here you can observe the flagella. So they are photosynthetic, they possess the photosynthetic pigments, and in the presence of sunlight, they are photosynthetic. Okay, they used to do the photosynthesis process naturally. But when there is no sunlight, when the sunlight is not available, in the absence of sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs by predating on smaller organisms. How it is possible? That means during the daytime, whenever they are on the surface, so that they can harvest the sunlight and they can do the photosynthesis, because they are possessing the photosynthetic pigments, isn't it? But whenever these organisms are present at the depth of the ocean where the sunlight cannot penetrate into, isn't it? So that they cannot get the sunlight, on that condition they will become heterotrophs and they will feed on other smaller organisms so that they will get their food. Okay, and the pigments are identical to those in higher plants, example euglena. Whatever the pigments we are observing in the euglenoids, they are exactly same in that of the higher plants. That's why we can also say this euglena is a connecting link between Protista and the kingdom Plantae, isn't it? Only thing it is possessing the flagella, it is movement showing. Okay, so this is the connecting link. So this is the picture in the textbook, whatever they have given. The fourth one is slime molds. The fourth group in case of kingdom Protista, it is a slime mold. So these are saprophytic one. Saprophytic, they commonly grows on dead and decay material. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic matter. So whenever any part of the plant it comes down into the earth, so that these slime molds, they will start developing on that, so that they will engulf that entire organic material under suitable conditions. So here suitable refers to where there is availability of water as well as nutrients. Suitable condition, they form an aggregation. Aggregation means one group. Okay, they form an aggregation called as plasmodium. Okay, the aggregation of the slime mold is called as plasmodium. It may spread over several feet. In the diagram we can observe, this is the actual picture of the slime mold, the yellow color one, okay, in the dead and decaying twig. So this is the textbook diagram. So this is how it appears, the slime molds. So what will happen? Under suitable condition, they will form an aggregation, that's a group called as the plasmodium. This is under favorable condition. But during unfavorable condition, if there is no availability of water, if they don't get enough nutrients for their growth, what they will do? The plasmodium, whatever they have formed during the favorable condition, they will differentiate and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores at their tips. The entire plasmodium is converted into fruiting body, so that they will start to bear the spores. Here the fruiting body refers to spore bearing body of the organism. Fruiting body, that doesn't mean they are bearing the fruits. Okay, you can't get the fruits in slime molds. Fruiting body refers to spore bearing one. Spores are commonly haploid in nature. They are not diploid, they are haploid. They are formed by the meiosis process majority time. So these spores, they have true walls. That means under the unfavorable condition also they can survive. They can resist the desiccation process. They can protect the spore. They are highly resistant and survive for many years. They can survive in the unfavorable condition for several years. Spores are dispersed by air. Okay, unfavorable condition, plasmodium differentiate into fruiting body so that the spores can be produced, so that those spores by the activity of the air, due to air current, they can be transferred from one place into another place where they will attain the nutrients as well as the water, so that they will germinate and they will produce the new plasmodium. Okay, so this is one adaptation of the slime molds in order to survive in the unfavorable condition. Okay, so this is the actual picture of the slime molds. So this is the textbook one. So next, the fifth broad group in case of the kingdom Protista, it is protozoans. Proto, pro means first or primitive, you already know it. Zoans means animals. Commonly these protozoans are called as primitive relatives of animals. Okay, because they are possessing almost all characters of the animal cell, but however they are unicellular, that's why we have kept them in the kingdom Protista. Okay, so these are heterotrophs. As all the animals are heterotrophs, like that these protozoans are also heterotrophs. Predators or parasites. Okay, predators means hunting on other smaller organisms. Parasites depending on other host organisms for food and nutrition. So they are the primitive relatives. This is very important one, protozoans. These are four groups of protozoans. We are broadly having four again subgroups in the protozoan. The first one is called as amoeboid protozoans. Amoeboid, in the name only we can observe the protozoan's body which resemble the amoeba. Amoeba is having which type of structure? No definite structure, isn't it? The entire body shape of the amoeba is irregular in shape. So amoeboid protozoans. So they live in freshwater, seawater, or sometimes in the moist soil. So amoeba is commonly a freshwater one. Some other amoeboid protozoans, they can be live in salt water, and some amoeboid protozoans can be found in moist soil. Okay, and these amoeboid protozoans, they commonly show the locomotion, or they move and capture prey by putting out pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. Pseudo refers to false. Podia means foot, false feet, we commonly call it as. In case of amoeba we can observe. So the entire body structure of the amoeba is irregular in shape, isn't it? It is not having any definite shape. So that pseudopodia we can observe here and there, so that they can move, okay, from one place into another place in the water medium. Pseudopodia. And Example, best example is amoeba. In the name only we can get it. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. See, this is very important. Marine forms. The amoeboid protozoans which are present in the ocean water or salt water, they used to have the silica shells in their cell wall so that they can get protection from that salt content, that variation in the pH, isn't it? Some of them are parasites. Some amoeboid protozoans are parasites. Example, Entamoeba histolytica. See, amoeba is different, entamoeba is different. Entamoeba is not nothing but 8 amoebas. Okay, entamoeba is different, amoeba is different. But the common amoeba, it is not causing any disease. It is heterotroph, but it is not a parasite. It lives in the water. But this Entamoeba histolytica, it is one parasite. Especially in case of human beings, it is causing a disease called as amoebosis. Okay, Entamoeba histolytica causes a disease called as amoebosis. Amoebosis, in common word we can call it as a severe dysentery. Okay, this Entamoeba histolytica, when we consume the not hygienic water, the dirty water, if we consume that, if that water is contaminated with the Entamoeba histolytica, it will directly go into our small intestine and it will attach with the inner wall of the small intestine, so that we will get the dysentery, human beings. Okay, common dysentery is different, this amoebosis is different, because this amoebosis which is caused by the Entamoeba histolytica, it is having a very severe effects. Okay, because in the stool sometimes we used to found the blood also. Okay, so that the immediate medication is required. Next group, it is flagellated protozoans. Flagellated, the protozoans which possess the flagella are called as flagellated protozoans. So these flagellated protozoans are differ from those dinoflagellates. Don't confuse that. Okay, those are different group, this is different group. So they are either free living, okay, they may be free living, that means they may be heterotrophs, or they may be parasitic, they may be found on other host organism. They have flagella, as the name itself suggesting, flagellated protozoan, they are possessing the flagella. The parasitic forms cause diseases. The flagellated protozoans which are parasites, parasites mean they used to be cause the disease only, such as sleeping sickness. Example, the disease causing flagellated protozoan is a trypanosoma. So this trypanosoma protozoa, it is causing a disease called as sleeping sickness in case of human beings. Sleeping sickness means it is not inducing the sleep. Okay, it means the severe joint pains used to occur all over the body. Wherever joints we are having, we used to get the pain due to the infection of this trypanosoma. Next, the third one is called as ciliated protozoans. Ciliated, the protozoan body which is covered by numerous cilia. Okay, small hair-like structures which are outgrowth of the plasma membrane. So they are aquatic, actively moving organisms using thousands of cilia. As I already told you, if the flagella 1 or 2 is present, it's okay, it can show a movement in other organisms. But the cilia has to be present in numerous in number, because these cilia are shorter than the flagella. So they have a cavity in the cell, they have a cavity called as gullet that opens to outside. So it is nothing but it can act as a mouth of the cell, so that they can engulf the food molecules. By the movement of cilia, the water with the food enters the gullet. Okay, due to activity of this cilia, they will engulf the food as well as the water through this gullet or the cavity. Example, paramecium. So this is the picture of the paramecium, where you can observe small hair-like structure all over the body, which is called as cilia. Okay, flagella is absent. There is no flagella, but cilia is present. Okay, the body is slipper-like. Okay, slipper-shaped body, we call it as. The fourth one is called as sporozoans. Sporozoans, spore-bearing protozoans. Okay, spore, already told you, spores are haploid. These sporozoans, they have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. That means Not all these sporozoans are haploid in nature, but whenever they are infecting other organism, plant, humans or any animals, they used to be in a spore-like stage. The spore-like stage in case of the sporozoan is infectious. Best example is Plasmodium vivax, which is commonly we call it as a malarial parasite. Okay, Plasmodium vivax is the one which causes the malarial fever in case of the human beings. So this is very important, malarial parasite, see it and need point of view, which is called as the malarial parasite, simple one. Okay, Plasmodium, which comes under the group sporozoans. So remember, Plasmodium, whenever it is present in its original form, it cannot cause it, but whenever it is in spore-like stage, okay, it used to cause the malarial disease. Understood? So that broadly we are having 4 different types of groups in case of the protozoa, which is a broad category. Some are photosynthetic, some are heterotrophs, and majority of them are parasites. Okay, so we will meet in next class.